Four-wheel drive mode activated. Traction control off. First gear, high range. Standing on top of Big Red. I never, ever, ever get tired of this view. This is like my spiritual home. Hello, beautiful. G'day Jafffa Adventures, Terry King, welcome to the channel. Today is day 4 on my Simpson Desert week-long solo trip, and it's going to be the hardest day today. The weather forecast is what I would call extreme, certainly for this time of year, which is August. We got a temperature of 32 degrees C at its highest point, and the winds are going to be crazy, gusting up to 55 kilometers an hour later today. And the reason for that is that we've got a cool change blowing through. So tonight and tomorrow is going to be absolutely beautiful. But we got to go through living hell today to get there. I'm filling up my Camelback with lovely rehydrating fluid for the bike ride. And I'll take you guys along for a small part of that journey. Sound like fun? Stick around. I think these flies must know that Armageddon is coming soon, and their Armageddon is at 50-kilometer-an-hour wind, because right now they are in biblical proportions. Fly tolerance is a really personal thing, and I consider myself quite tolerant of flies. It takes a lot for me to net up, but these guys got me today. I pulled the net out and put it on before sunrise. They were that nasty. For those of you that follow the channel, you know that Jill and I have just got back from 5 months across WA, and that was an absolutely epic trip. I got home, I serviced the truck, cleaned it, got it all prepared, which took all of a week, and I'm back out here in the Simpson Desert by myself 2 weeks after we got back. So what's that all about, you might ask? And it's a really good question too. I do love it out here in the Simpson Desert. This is sort of my spiritual home, I guess you'd call it. And for those of you who have a connection to a place on the planet, you might know what I'm talking about. It's really hard to explain, but it's just somewhere where you feel at home, at peace, completely contented and relaxed in your own thoughts. And that's what the Simpson Desert is for me. Why solo? Well, Jill and I have just finished a big trip together, and we've been in each other's hair for 5 months. Now, don't get me wrong, we get along famously, but everybody needs a little bit of space from time to time. In fact, while I am here in the Simpson Desert, Jill is on a long weekend with some girlfriends in Stanthorpe. And just talking to her earlier, it sounds like she's having an absolute blast. I am not getting any younger. I had my 57th birthday while we were out on our WA trip, and no doubt there'll be a point in time in the future where I will not be able to do this. I'll not be able to come out on my motorbike and spend some time traversing or cruising through the desert. That day isn't upon me yet, but I'm not going to let it creep up on me. I'm going to sink my teeth into the fullness of life while I've got that opportunity. The other nice thing about traveling by yourself is that you're alone in your thoughts. And where do my thoughts go when I'm alone? Well, Jill would say it'd be a clapping monkey, so not a lot happens in there. For me, it goes back to my family, which is an awesome thing to think, because that reflective time gives me time to really appreciate the friends and family that I do have. And gratitude is a wonderful thing. I am super, super blessed to be able to do what I'm doing here. Very excited, very grateful, and very humbled by the ones that love me. Let's talk about a potential elephant in the room, and that is safety. Many of you might be saying, hey Terry, it's not very safe to be traveling in the desert out there by yourself. And if you're not prepared, you'd be dead right. But if you are prepared, it's exactly the opposite. Here's some of the kit that I carry in my jacket. Got a UHF radio on channel 10, that's the desert channel. I got my sat phone, I got my EPIRB, and a little bit of light nutrition. I got plenty of water on board for the distances that I'm going to be traveling. I have spare batteries for all of that equipment that you've seen in front of you. And I've got a limited amount of tools in case something happens on the track that wouldn't be a showstopper. I can probably hack together a bush repair on the fly. The other thing, of course, is that the Simpson Desert, the French line, the QAA line, are like a highway. I've been out here a few days now, and there isn't a day that hasn't gone by where I haven't passed several vehicles. So if I was to run into any problems, sooner or later, somebody would come along on the track as well. It's actually probably a lot safer than riding the bush tracks out behind my house, because on those tracks, it'd be years between somebody traversing those. And I don't carry all the safety equipment. I only have my mobile phone on me. And there's usually not a lot of signal out there. So yes, this is, I would consider, a lot safer. I do carry my mobile phone with me as well, but out here, that's nothing more than a glorified camera. I've gone through and checked all my poles and checked all my guy wires to make sure that everything is locked down securely, because if we've got a 50-kilometer-an-hour wind coming through here, that's a pretty serious wind for an awning. So I've got everything strapped down as tightly and buttoned up as much as I can. Well, I trust that gives you a little bit of context about what I'm doing out here and why I'm here. I'm going to hit the trails today, probably get a couple of 100K under my belt, which is the maximum range of my bike, and then come back for an afternoon of hopefully cooler temperatures with that change blowing through. Time to throw the helmet on and saddle up. Catch you on the trail. The other bit of safety kit that I didn't mention I had was GPS unit as well. Again, I carry spare batteries for that in my pocket. I'm only camped a couple of kilometers west of Big Red and just doing sojourns, day trips out from my camp here. Time to sojourn away, reset my trip meter so I know what range I've got, and we're away. Gotta get my sand legs back for the morning. That takes a few Junes to get into. I'll start off in third gear, keep it nice and slow until I get the feel again, and then kick it up to fourth. And there's our first car of the morning. That's it, couple Junes in now, pop it up in a fourth gear. That's the sweet spot in these inner June swales. You can kind of launch over the whoops and it doesn't hurt as much. Just pull a wheelie through them and you're only on your back tire. Flattens them out a little bit. Back down to third. Back down to second, nice and slow over the top to check out where you see anybody. Nobody. Back down into third. Carry a bit of momentum on the downhill runs so the front tire doesn't dig in. And that's it. That's the routine. Over June, over June, over June. I'm going into my happy place now. Goodbye. This is the Bird Nest Camp, which was bike camp number 11 in our last Simpson Desert trip. A little bit of the wood pile still left over. Somebody else is camped here. We would never leave a can. And there's the bird nest tree right there, where we all sat underneath of. Back on the QAA line, heading towards Eyre Creek. Got a bit of radio chatter, so somebody's out there. Keep an eye out for that. Still don't see them. There we have it, Eyre Creek, still in flood. Freaking awesome. I'm heading south. The crossing at the moment is up to the north about 30 kilometers. Awesome, lush and green. Still traveling south, parallel to Eyre Creek. I think I'm heading towards an outstation or maybe just a cattle yard called Altona Downs. I think I saw it on the map. That's it. That's where the last car is peeled out. And here is the reason why. The track is flooded. I followed Eyre Creek south for about 20 kilometers. This is the track in front of me now. It's all flooded, so I've got to turn around. But it's beautiful out here. I think this track leads to a cattle station or cattle yards or something like that called Altona Downs. But I'm going to chuck a U-ey now and take the detour track, which heads in a northerly direction. I'm just out near Madigan Well 22. Just have a look at this landscape here. Man, this is beautiful. Green and lush. Look at the red sand dunes there. It's very cool. The cattle are loving it out here. And there's a tributary of Eyre Creek. Still got water in it. Absolutely stunning. Out near Madigan 22. Simply breathtaking. At the old Annandale ruins. The wind's starting to pick up now. Got some decent gusts, probably 30 kilometers an hour at the moment. This is that cool change that I've been waiting for. Immediately beside the ruins is Eyre Creek. The Curlings and the Wilkies and us camped here many, many years ago. And this paddock is full of bindies. There it is, Eyre Creek in all its glory. Goodbye, Annandale. I'll leave you in peace. Eyre Creek bypass in flood. It doesn't get much better. Nothing like a cooling swim after you've been on the bike for a few hours. And I got another 20-25 to get back to camp. Here's a mind blow for you. We met those guys out at Roaring Meg Falls. Unbelievable. Have a good ride, Dan. Enjoy, buddy. Here's another first for me. I'm riding my motorbike through the Simpson Desert and it's raining. Unreal. Just a little tiny cloud burst over top of me and it's just, yeah, it's coming down. Must be all part of that cool change coming through. Bring it on, please. Nice and loosey-goosey. Just by myself. Big red, and there's not a single soul on top of it. Amazing. Goodbye Solo Bike Camp 2023. Somebody backing down the face of Big Red. Looks like he's just playing because he's taking the hard line. I'm going to take the medium line. I do have the trailer on board, so that's a pretty big anchor. Let's give it a crack. Geez, that's hard in the sun. Got there. Goodbye Simpson Desert until we meet again. Well, I'm 37 kilometers west of Quilpie. I hit a big bump and snapped the BP51. Springs jammed up against the rim, and the CV boot has been ripped all to shreds as well. This truck is going nowhere. Game over. First time the old girl's been on a tilt tray. Happy breakdown to me. Made it into miles, filling up, and then we're gonna push on to home. Only about 400 kilometers to go. Yeah, baby.